Today's Wednesday, April 1st, 2020, and you are listening to the Elevator Radio Show podcast.
You're listening to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly podcast dedicated to news and information for the entire elevator industry. Whether you're a contractor, consultant, inspector, manufacturer, or mechanic, this show has a little something for everyone. In addition to covering our industry's latest news stories, we also take a look at the various elevator-related items for sale on eBay. Someone's trash is another's treasure. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Seibert, your host for the Elevator Radio Show podcast. It is good to be back. I have to tell you, I dusted off the equipment, cleaned the lenses, tried to adjust the audio volume, spent a good time this morning trying to figure that out. I think we're okay. If we are low or if we are high, I apologize. Just adjust your volume on your computer. First and foremost, I am sorry for taking such a long break from the show. All I can say is that my life became extremely busy. Family, work, everything. And for that reason, I needed to take the time away from the show. You don't realize how much you put into something until you realize how much it can take out of you at the same time. And it wasn't necessarily getting up early in the morning like I did this morning to do the show. It wasn't that. It wasn't the grind of that. It was more of the way that information is shared online and just the overwhelming feeling of trying to keep up with all of it. And it just got me. It got me to the point where what I originally had the goal of this show to be, which was something that brought us together as an industry, as a community, as a family back in 2005, had become something that was much more lost, maybe, is how I can explain it. And it just felt like anything that I did, it wasn't making a big enough impact, kind of like climbing up a mountain that was slowly, crumbling beneath you. And so the time off, I wish I could tell you that it was good and made a difference and made me want to come back to the show and made me want to do a whole bunch of things, in terms of getting rest. But the reality is that, life kept going on and got busy and busy and busier, and it's just what it is. And for that reason, it just is what it is. So, but I do apologize. I was never my intention to walk away from the show without any kind of explanation or any type of reason. And not to say that that's not going to happen again in the future, but so many of you out there are my family in the industry. So many of you come up to me at the shows and say, "Hey, how you doing? When are you going to do the show again?" Or just want to check on and see how you're doing. People texted me, people emailed me, people called me. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me for so many of you to reach out and just check on how I was doing and especially during that time. So thank you. I'm going to do my best to continue the show as best that I can and communicate, especially during these times. So thank you. And so many of you who are my friends and my family in the industry and listeners to the show are older people as well, which I love. I think the older population has so much to share. I think literally you have lived through so much, have so much experience. And as I tell my kids and I tell those who I work with, listen to those who have experience, those who are older, because someday they're not going to be here. And the best thing to do is to definitely make sure we are getting and gaining as much knowledge from those people as we possibly can. Well, it's April 1st. Show's on. It's not an April Fool's joke. This coronavirus, COVID-19, is not an April Fool's joke as much as I wish it was. It's not. And the reason for the return is this. When I started the show in 2005, it was a means to bring our industry together weekly, to network, to bring us together as a family, to give you information every week that I felt was pertinent to the nation, United States, Canada, North America, stuff like that. With COVID-19, the coronavirus, and what it has done to our country and what it has been, done and affected so many of us in our industry, health-wise, economic-wise, I feel the need to I just feel the need to get out there and try to provide some kind of assistance to to ensuring all of you out there that it is going to be okay. We are going to get through this. It is not going to be easy, but we are going to get through this. So for that reason and that reason, I need to do the show. I think doing the show is more for me than it is for you. Just please note that my opinions that I share are my own opinions. I'm probably going to say stuff that's incorrect, politically not correct. I'm going to do my best not to swear because I feel like I've turned into a swearing sailor, and it's something that's not healthy. And the reality is there's not a lot I can do to change the anger I feel inside about what's happening to all of us and what's happening to our friends and family and what we have to do to remain safe and protect ourselves. So instead of being angry, I'm going to turn that around, and I am going to do my best to ensure that that anger is turned into steps that I can take so I don't feel powerless. Okay, so that's my goal with the show. So I'm smiling because I'm talking to all of you today who I miss greatly, and I'm sorry that it was like once a year when we would see each other and reach out. I'm going to do my best to change that and be there for you with whatever you may need as we navigate this cluster that I like to call the COVID cluster. So in addition to the reason, for my return is I've been inspired by so many in our industry that I have to share that with you because you don't realize how much of a beacon of just hope and knowledge and just reassurance you feel. Maybe you feel this as well when you see a Facebook post from Glenn Duncan, Elevator Riders Riding Club, who delivered tons of masks to our local hospital, or to SECA, Canadian Elevator Contractors Association, Catherine, who set up a base camp website for members of SECA to share knowledge and basically just provide a place they can actually ask questions and find out what other companies are doing. To Bob Shepard, who for the last 2 weeks has written just some of the most how do I say it? Some of the most personal pieces regarding the coronavirus and COVID-19 from his heart, which he typically writes from. And I just couldn't sit idly by and not add to that. I mean, Tuesday night last week, I was like, I'm going to go and do the show. And unfortunately, there was too much to set up and get back to where it was for me to do that. But I'm here now. I am here April 1st. It's not a April Fool's joke day. And as we kind of figure this all out, and as we navigate the different stimulus stuff that's going on, the Workers Act, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be sharing that as I learn it on my own, to the best of my knowledge and best of my abilities. So maybe something that I talk about might help you all out there. And right now, the time is to unite. It's time to look out after each other. It is time to remember those in your life that you've pulled away from, that you have literally maybe not checked on. It could be family members. It could be friends. It could be whomever. But now's the time to make sure they're okay. If anybody needs toilet paper, let me know. Plenty of that. So that is the other reason why I'm here today, because of those people who have inspired me to want to be here to help in the effort in not only helping you navigate some of the stuff we have to navigate as business owners, as workers, and probably what's going to shift or change our industry forever in terms of how people touch elevators, how they ride in them. But it's so important that we do that together, because the information that's online is just not always that easy to find. It's not that easy to navigate. And so for that reason, that's what we're here today to do. Please send me an email if you'd like, elevatorradioshow@gmail.com. I'm going to clear out the thousands of emails I've got, just purge them, and then start over from scratch, and I will check those weekly. If anybody has a topic or needs help trying to navigate or figure something out, let me know as it relates to the extended Families First Act or the stimulus package. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but I would be happy to try to get some answers for anybody that might need help out there. And for all of us in the elevator vertical transportation industry, thank you for working. We are all essential workers in what we do. We provide equipment that is in the buildings that testing is being performed in, where in pharmaceutical buildings where drugs and vaccines are being worked on, in hospitals across the country. What we do is critical to the effort of fighting the coronavirus and ensuring that literally we're doing our part. It wasn't necessarily an easy decision to make, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So speaking from experience in terms of Illinois and the timeline that kind of went down here, we're right outside the city of Chicago. So 2 weeks ago, Governor Pritzker went on air basically announcing, actually 3 weeks ago, shut down all the bars. It's before St. Patrick's Day. Shut down all the bars and the restaurants. And then a week later ended up shutting down, or that same week on that Friday, shut down every non-essential business on a Friday afternoon. So Friday evening, literally, everybody's tuned into the press release or the press conference from Governor Pritzker, and it comes across. And so as soon as that comes out, now the act had not been signed yet. As soon as that came out, okay, the news of the shutdown being 2 weeks, for non-essential, I immediately tried to figure out whether or not we were essential or not. I literally had like 30 minutes to determine whether or not we were going to be able to stay open or not, or needed to stay open. And after seeing what New York, what Pennsylvania, what those different states had done to define essential workforces or businesses, kind of just rolled into that, made the decision we're going to stay open, contacted our mayor, our chief police, just let them know that come Monday we will be open, put signs up in the door, let them know we're already taking steps to increase sanitation. We'd already done that, and just we were fine. So come Monday morning, it's kind of like a ghost town. Nobody's around. We all come into work. Everybody was fine coming into work. Felt good. Very slow. Just kind of came up with the plan of what we're going to do. When and if we run out of work, we'll paint the building if we need to. The goal here was to keep as many, keep everybody on staff. Don't lay anybody off. Don't overreact. Just try to, weather the storm, work through backlog, build stock, all that. And that's what we're doing right now. As the week progressed, it got busier and busier and busier with shutdown orders, with parts that needed to be sent next day air for refineries, for power generating facilities. So that was encouraging. At the same time, we saw some cancellations of some orders, unfortunately, from the oil sector. And that was something that was like, man, never seen that before. So it's just hard. You go through that. You want to make the right decision as a business owner to protect your employees. And it was kind of a gut-wrenching decision to say, what do we do? Do we try to shut down? Do we stay open? What do we do? So we stayed open, put a plan into effect where we're disinfecting everything every morning, disinfect everything every afternoon. We have, we always had the Purell sanitation stations around the shop where the door entries are at. We made sure that there's no will call pickups. We tried to do our best to not introduce any new people into the facility. And again, just being vigilant on washing our hands, not touching our face, and going through that. We cut all overtime out. We still have a morning shift and an afternoon shift, but it still works out. Everybody knows just to keep their distance 6 feet away, and we're also taking steps to ensure that some of our paper processes are where we're handling file drawers and stuff like that are converted digitally. Which some of you will be like, hey, I don't know how why you wouldn't do that. So here at C.J. Anderson, the company we work at, it's going okay. But I spend more time. I spend literally, a good 2 hours of every morning going through if there are any updates, trying to figure out the extended, Families First Leave Act that requires all businesses give an extra, or give 2 weeks leave for companies under 500 employees. Now, back in the regular Family Leave Act didn't apply to us because we were too small. So it was it's very, it's tough for everybody. I completely know that. But as as a president of a company trying to share and disseminate information as the government releases it, it's becoming almost a full-time job. I've never written as many memos in my life. I've never printed as many posters and warnings and posted them up everywhere. It's kind of like that sign, the one song, Signs Everywhere, Signs. And I forgot who sang that. I don't know if that's Sammy Hagar or Van Halen or whatever. But anyway, the point is that we are being as vigilant as we can. And while none of us know what the end game is going to be or what the result or the end result or if this will ever end, all we can do is just act right now. All we can do is just take the steps necessary in the moment that we are in now to try to mitigate any kind of additional spread of what this was. And to be honest with you, when this first started, I just couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything cripple a country like this before in my life, ever. I mean, 9/11 was awful, was terrible, but I think the nation was closed for a week, and we just bounced right back. This just annihilated our economy. It annihilated cities. It shut them down. I mean, and my biggest fear is that it's not, thank God it's not a war, but if it was like World War II, we're never going to know if we've ever beat this thing. All we're going to see is that curve going down and fatalities going down. And so for that reason, it's like scary. The steps we're taking as a human race right now around the world are going to change the way we interact with each other forever. I mean, we're not going to shake hands. We're not going to hug. We're going to think everybody's got the bubonic plague. It's like, geez, I'm like, oh, and for good reason. I almost touched my eyeballs. Don't touch your eyeballs at all or any other hole in your body because that's how you transmit the disease or the virus if it's anywhere. So I struggled. I truly struggled with the steps that were taken, trying to compare them with something out there that was relevant. And in the beginning, I was so angry. I'm like, let's look at the flu statistics. And I've got those in the show notes. The flu statistics, when you think about it, in terms of the 2018-2019 year, okay? This is from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So 2019-2020 U.S. flu season preliminary burden estimates. So the flu affects between 38 million and 54 million, causing 18 million to 26 million medical visits, 400,000 to 7,300,000 hospitalizations, and between 62,000 and 24,000 people die as a result of the flu. So initially, I'm like, why is this so much different? Because I wasn't, we weren't really getting that kind of information. Like, what was causing, this thing until you realize that it is extremely contagious and it affects, and it really, really is not good news for anybody who's older, who's anybody, or has any kind of respiratory or any kind of underlying medical condition. We have people here at work that have asthma. So every day it's like, listen, wipe all your stuff down. Be careful. Make sure you're not going to, touch or bring anything home. Shower when you get home. And it's tough. I can't imagine what it's like to work in a hospital or be a first responder. It's got to be extremely, extremely difficult. And for that reason, thank you. Before I forget, thank you to our medical staff and our doctors and stuff who are fighting this on the front lines. So as time progressed, and as I listened to the White House briefing every day, and I think they're sharing good information. But the concern from them is kind of what turned me around, where I'm thinking, my gosh, this doesn't sound like it's going to get better anytime soon. And I got to be honest, I'm just as worried as anybody. I'm worried for my parents. I'm worried for many of you out there who have who have underlying health conditions. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about your families, your kids. I'm worried about mechanics who are working in the field. I'm worried about all of that, and I'm sure all of you are as well. The reality is the only thing we can do is stay at home if you can stay at home, hunker down, and when you are out in the world, disinfect everything. Make sure you're looking at everything, your phone, your car, your steering wheel, your shifter knob. Disinfect stuff you don't normally disinfect during the week, okay? I mean, that's really critical. So that's really critical. So, and here we are today. So we were supposed to be on a 2-week lockdown. This would have been the second week, and I was so grateful to think that this was only going to be a 2-week thing when Governor Pritzker came out yesterday and extended it to the end of April, and that may even extend even further than that. Who knows? My concern at this point, which I think many of our concerns should be, and I got to tell my worries to go away, but the time and length that people are unemployed, not working, and cannot get their bills paid. They can't get normal, food. They can't pay for stuff like that. That is my concern. I am concerned at week 3 of April, or 4 or 2, that at some point people are not going to be able to be as civilized and handle this as it is. That is my concern. So at this point, we're taking precautions to make sure that things are locked up, that if something happens where you've got civil unrule or whatever, and I'm not trying to generalize this as the population of the United States, but I've seen it in our neighborhood years ago during a blackout when you got a bunch of crazy people just going throwing rocks through windows, which they did at this facility. So regardless, it's good to be prepared. It's like the Boy Scout motto: be prepared. Get ready to, if you don't have water, and I'm not talking about hoarding water or toilet paper, but just have some provisions so that you can get through enough of a critical thing. If everything shuts down, you just, and man, for parents out there with little kids, man, I feel for you so badly. I mean, this world that, we're raising kids in is just, I don't know what that's going to look like. I've got 2 in college. They're both home. They're learning online. One who's graduating high school who's learning online. And it's just, it's like, it sucks for everybody. It just sucks for everybody. And it sucks even more for those that have passed away or have lost a loved one because of this. So it's just going to be all hands on deck. I mean, that's just going to be the bottom, the bottom line when it comes to that. What freaked me out, I think, the most was, I think 2 or 3 days into the first week, last week, we had like Army trucks, driving down the road like in parallel. Chinook helicopters landing in our local mall. Come to find out, there's a test station that's just down the street. You're talking about maybe 2-3 miles from us. So you think about that, and people are we're driving from everywhere to just go and get tested, and that in itself was definitely a little frightening, to say the least. So just hang in there. None of us have the answers when it comes to this. We just have to be honest with you. I know that Facebook and online activities connect us, but honestly, they can just tear us apart as well. I mean, so just be wary of that and get out and do something. My kids asked permission to tear the backyard up to grow a garden, tear all the lawn up. I'm like, go for it. Tear the grass up. Build whatever you want, So between homework and do something productive. There's stuff to do that you can do that's productive. Now's the time to do it. Be busy. Don't stay online. It's a bunch of it drive you crazy, and I've seen people get to that level. So just hang in there, okay? All right, we can get through the show notes here, and we'll have you out of here in no time. Excuse me, not nowhere. I forgot to mention NEI too. NEI posted a guide or a page relating to coronavirus COVID-19, which I thought was great. This was like the Monday after Illinois shut down their state. They have a variety of different brochures that you can print up, and I encourage you to do so for your clients. Very good information. The scariest, I think, was, if you're riding an escalator, make sure you wash your hands immediately after use. That's a little scary, but I think we all know that escalator handrails are touched by many, many people, and maybe in the future we'll see some better products out there to prevent that or to combat that. That while may not be approved by code, will be shortly or soon after. So yeah, hats off to NEI for their efforts in immediately getting that information out there, because they were the first to really share that. And there's some good guides, some good common sense guides that I think most people don't even really realize. Okay, Sika, as I mentioned before, they've got I can't log into it right now, but they've got they set up a Basecamp 3. And for those of you out there that don't know what Basecamp is, it's kind of like a project management site where you can log in and you can post in different boxes. I mean, to me, I feel like I'm an old man because I'm like, man, I don't know how to do this. It's kind of like Google Hangouts, stuff like that. So, but you got to be a member. But if you're in Canada and you are not a member of SECA, consider joining because there's some good resources on that website. Catherine's doing a great job at trying to provide as much information as possible so that you can get the information that you need, and you can also share with other people who may or may not be dealing with similar issues. And again, the next link is the link to contact them if you need to, if you want to join and become part of the Basecamp group on their site. But I thought it was pretty cool. As soon as that happened, I was posting right away. I'm like, man, this is nice. Department of Labor guidance for preparing workplaces. Those of you who are business owners or you're concerned or you're not sure what exactly your business, if it's essential, might be doing or might not be doing, you can click on that, learn more. I thought the Department of Labor's done a pretty good job at providing the information that's needed. So that's a good thing. And again, I'm just trying to give you some information that will help you in what you do each day. Next link is from the Department of Labor as well, COVID-19 and the American workplace. So the Coronavirus Response Act, employee paid leave rights. For those of you who employ employees in the United States, the requirement is going to be to basically extend or provide 2 weeks leave, paid sick time. And there's different levels of this, which is going to make it a nightmare for anybody who's doing payroll in-house or has it, or out of outhouse, not an outhouse, but I'm talking about outsourced it to another firm. So it's not as clear or easy to follow, but it does give qualifying reasons how much they need to be paid and how those amounts you will get compensated for as an employer. Okay, and I believe it's as a credit against the I think it's a credit against either Social Security, may not be that, or just the federal matching tax deposit. Don't quote me on that. That didn't sound right at all. But there's a credit somewhere that companies get for paying employees for those 2 weeks. So lots of good links on that page. So bookmark that in case you need to go back and check things out. Let's see here. Next link. Okay, yeah, Families First. I think that's the one I just linked. Yeah, I just linked the other one. Next thing, which is extremely important, okay? Now, we all feel very vulnerable in the states that we are in. Forgot that word. The reality is, oh, come on. You can do it, computer. The reality is that the online phishing and malware attacks are on the rise, okay? As we all search for whatever information that we can find, the problem is, let me get to the link here, is that this is prime opportunity for the scumbag out there in the world to take advantage or try to steal anything that you have online. Okay, so phishing scams have multiple ways of selecting their victims. Quite often they prey on victims' fear by using real and current threats. Other times they jump on the opportunity bandwagon with stories that are typically topical news, and every so often one comes across the packs and with the double punch. Yes, coronavirus, COVID-19. Malware has joined the conversation. So read this and please pass it on to your people that you work with, because this is going to be the next thing that we have to be aware, we have to worry about, as if, life's not dangerous enough. So there's a whole bunch of things to watch out. There's some good links in here on what you can, for reputable sites. Again, remember, just because it's online doesn't mean it's true. So remember that, and something we don't have to, we shouldn't have to worry about what we do. We have to make sure we're safe online and offline and in the world. Flu season estimates are linked again and again. I don't mean to compare the COVID-19 with the flu. I know COVID's much more aggressive with our older population, those that are affected by any pre-existing ailments or issues. So I get that. I totally get that. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just, this is a virus we're fighting every day. And the data we're using for that is based on other countries that may not have the same kinds of issues we do. And again, I'm sure the experts are looking at all that stuff. I don't want to see 1 million people die or 100,000 people die. I don't want to see anybody die from this. I don't. But the reality is that H1N1 also had similar, crippling effects, but we didn't shut our economy down. So I truly hope that the shutdown, the economic loss that we endure, that so many are going to be facing, that I don't know if that stimulus package is going to make a difference or not. I don't know for them. Long term, it's going to be very interesting to see literally how this all plays out. I just want it over with. I just want people to be safe, and so do your part to do that. If you're not sure how to do that, if you've been living under a rock for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention have some good information on it. That also has some really good PDFs you should be printing up, putting them up in your offices, obviously, or sharing them with your coworkers who might be working remotely so they can share it with their families. So just general common sense things. And the reality is that it's a shame that we, forgot that washing our hands and not touching our eyeballs and our other openings that could let anything in is not necessarily common sense. There's also good links here that they're doing their best to try to give advice on cleaning your home, daily life and coping. If you're sick, who need extra precautions. That's all on this page. So please share this and with your friends, your loved ones, just so that those of you, those of them out there that may not be taking this seriously, can do so. Let's see here. So yeah, those are all those links. So next thing is the coronavirus aid package that was released. That also was a cluster. I was very frustrated, and our politicians, I don't think they realize that the American people do not want to see bickering, do not want to see fighting, do not want to see name calling. There's no time for that here, and for delaying that bill as long as they did is really unfortunate. Because it just hurt the American people. It just delayed everything, and it was, in my opinion, unacceptable to do that, just so that one side or the other side could put more things in, or revamp it or whatever. And I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that the time it took to do this was too long. It just took too long. Last link is SBA. Apply for economic injury disaster loans. Again, there's nothing easy to follow in this bill. It is going to be very difficult, I think, to determine what you're going to be eligible for. I encourage you to reach out to your accountants out there, to your mainly your accountants probably, because they are the ones trying to figure all this out and determine what possibly might be eligible or not, and they should really be giving you some advice on that. Possibly your lawyer. So again, as we navigate this pandemic and what we have to do to try to make sure businesses don't go out of business, it's going to be a long process. So I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try to share my experiences with you each week from a employer's perspective, some of the perspectives from my teammates that I play with, that I work with, and I hope that helps you out there in the listening and watching world get a better idea that it's going to be okay, and that as much as we don't know what the future is going to bring, what we have is right now. And as helpless as you might feel, as I might feel, we're still in control. We're still in control of the actions that we take to make us not feel like that. Might be simple. Might be, I'm going to take the day off. I'm going to go out and wash my hands. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to call somebody and check on them, see how they're doing. Make a mental list of people that you haven't reached out to in a while. And reach out to them. And do not stay glued to the computer and the news and all that. Just don't. It doesn't do anybody any good. That's pretty much that's all I got for today. So I'm glad I'm back. I'm glad I'm back for this reason. I wish the virus was not here, but it's the only thing that brought me back to doing the show again. And now more than ever is a time we need to be together. So we'll be together, and we'll get through this the best that we can. I'm going to leave you with the photo that I have on the blog post. If you are you're not, if you're not watching the video, which is fine. I was driving home, and this is not the sign that I saw that I have posted, but I was driving home on Wednesday, and somebody had put a sign up in my neighborhood that said, "Thank you, essential workers." And essential workers are everybody who are out there doing stuff. So thank you. Thank you. And that's all I can say. So mechanics out there, everybody wash your hands and just take the steps that you feel necessary to keep you and your family safe. And we will get through this together someday. I just hope it's sooner than later. So everybody take care. Good to be back. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.